Hollow Gelato Familia. It's George, the Disney Italiano, coming to you with another video. I got Matthew Muir back from the UK joining us today. And today we're going to discuss something that Matthew has worked on for quite a while now, but it's about Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time. Now, for all of you who don't know, that Disney had made direct to, at the time, DVD sequels for its movies. And for Cinderella, they did Cinderella 2, Dreams Come True. And then later on in years, they did Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, which actually, I have to say, outside of The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, which that I think that's everybody's like favorite direct to video sequel. Um, I have to say Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time is actually on the top tier for me because I love the storyline of basically a what if, you know, that she didn't make it to the ball or the slipper didn't fit. And it's basically Cinderella's fate falls into uh the hands of her evil stepmother,
Yeah, and
because
it also goes much further to expose just how badly Anastasia and Drizella have been manipulated, and lets on that they only really bullied Cinderella because they were forced to.
oh, okay, nice, yeah, and that is very true. It does give a little bit more answers to questions that we have that they really didn't get to explain in the original Cinderella
And may
story.
not have even wanted to explain.
Very true, yes, because I feel like that, at that time, when they did Cinderella in the 1950s, it was very much just, it's Cinderella's story. It's, these are her obstacles, these are her dreams, these are her goals, and it was just, at that time, so when they ended up doing the sequel for Cinderella 3, Cinderella 2 is okay, but I just feel like,
It feels a bit disjointed.
yeah, exactly. Basically, how I feel about Beauty and the Beast. What is it? Belle's Magical World. Um,
Yeah, the Enchanted Christmas was all right, but Belle's Magical World was a disjointed mess.
yes, absolutely. So that's how I felt with Cinderella 2, and but Cinderella 3, I felt like was a very decent connective tissue of a sequel. Um, So Matthew, if you want to kind of set the table as to specifically what we would be talking about with Cinderella 3.
Now, this is basically a full-blown rewrite of Cinderella 3, which is considerably darker than the existing version. And unlike the existing version, it would actually be a theatrical release. It would be slated for around summer 2010, so in between Princess and the Frog and Tangled.
Okay. And yes, folks, of what you're looking at in front of you, I ended up sharing my screen. This is an adaptation of Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, but through the eyes of Mr. Matthew Murr. And I just have to just show you guys this. Like, I'm going to kind of scroll through it just so you could see the dedication and the hard work that Matthew went into this. Because, I mean, he literally, as you can see, like went into full detail of his interpretation of the rewrite of Cinderella 3. And
And more importantly, this would actually be a replacement for Dreams Come True. So Cinderella would have only one sequel in this hypothetical best case scenario.
yeah, I agree with you with that. I think honestly, I mean, as I said, Cinderella 2 was okay, but I
But
mean,
it feels a bit superfluous in the scheme of things.
yeah, exactly. So, if you want to explain to the audience, Matthew, like what what is your take on your own rewrite? Like,
Yeah,
what were some of the things that you decided to change or add?
yeah. My changes were pretty deep actually. My version digs much deeper into Lady Tremaine's actual goals and also far deeper into her abuse of Anastasia and Drizella. Because as we know, Lady Tremaine starts treating them in the existing version just like she treated Cinderella in the first timeline before she gets her hands on the wand.
Oh, okay. So this is more so like adding a lot of extra story before she gets her hands on the wand as
Yeah, or not even before that, but like leading up to the wedding and also after the wedding.
okay. Good. Now let me ask you this. Obviously you had to watch the movie, in order to be able to do, your very own rewrite. How many times did you actually watch the movie to kind of get an understanding of like what they were trying to depict and then, transform it into something that you wanted to add to?
I only watched it about 3 or 4 times, and I felt Anastasia's redemption arc was good, but I felt there was more potential, sure, and I felt there was room for something a bit darker.
Okay. Yeah, I always like to say when it comes to especially with the Disney villains, I love a good villain subplot. I love when there is a dark um tone to the villain. And dare I say it, I said it many times before. I also love a good villain death. You want to have that redemption arc of like a good villain you just love to hate. And kind of going back to the original Cinderella, is there were a lot of unanswered questions. What happened to the stepmother and Anastasia and Drizella, because when they just had the original film, it was, Lady Tremaine sabotaged the footman, the glass slipper broke, she was shocked
They
that
saw no need to let anything else on,
yeah, and that
for
was it.
better or for worse.
Exactly, and it was like, and then it just did a cut scene to Cinderella and Prince Charming's wedding, and then that was it. They lived happily ever after. You didn't see anything like so. There was like a lot of unanswered questions. So I felt like with a Cinderella twist in time, it does kind of give off like kind of like what happened after the wedding, but it still was like vague of the scenes in between, and basically you filled in those scenes.
Yeah,
With your adaptation. Now I do want to come all the way down to the closer to the end, because then I have noticed um, the voice cast.
yeah,
Uh, so I want to touch upon that a little bit.
yeah. I did actually eat. I first of all, Jennifer Hale would obviously return as Cinderella. I believe she's been her main voice now since 2000,
Okay.
and in this instance, she would actually do her own singing as Cinderella
Okay. And then Christopher Daniel Barnes as
as Prince Charming.
Prince Charming, and then
Su-
Suzanne Blakesley as Lady Tremaine, which, from what I've understood, that
she's
she
been the
also,
main voice of Maleficent and also Cruella de Vil.
yes, she took over majority of the female villains after the original actresses passed on.
Yeah,
And then of course the brilliantly talented Tress McNeil
as
as
Anastasia.
Anastasia, and of course the wonderful Russi Taylor, who unfortunately is no longer with us, but she did provide the voice for Drizella and the fairy godmother.
Yeah.
Um,
I also decided to bring in Daniel Radcliffe as the baker from Cinderella 2. And I
okay.
thought to myself, Elf, it would be nice to maybe get at least one major star in the film who wasn't based on American soil.
Okay, that's very interesting. And
Because
then
Rob Paulson would have otherwise voiced the baker, but I thought to myself, why not get at least one major British star in?
yeah, that's very true. And you do have Rob Paulson as Jacques, the Grand Duke, and Bishop.
Yeah.
Um, and you
I
have
also have Liam Neeson as the king.
that's very interesting, because I mean Liam Neeson does have like this very kind of like rustic, gruff kind of tone to
A
him. So
very
I think
raspy voice.
yeah, absolutely. And then Holland Taylor as Prudence. Like I think honestly she would get like overlooked, but I think honestly she would be perfect in that role. I actually love Holland Taylor. I think very very strong character actor. Um, of course, the talented Corey Burton as Gus. And of course, the man of many sound effects, Frank Welker as Lucifer and Bruno. So let's see. The movie originally was released on DVD and Blu-ray on November 5th, 2010. So it just celebrated its
Or it was actually released in 2007, but my version would be released in
oh, I
2010.
see. Your version would have been 2010. So if it would have been released on that date in that year, it would have just surpassed
15 years.
15 years. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, so I mean, as I said, there is a lot to dive into with Matthew's rewrite. I encourage everyone that if you have the time and you want to kind of dabble into another perspective on Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, um, definitely give this a read. Um, and also, too, if you haven't even checked out Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time, I know it seems a bit mundane, to the fact of, this is a direct to DVD sequel. But I really have to say, outside of The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride, this I would think is one of the best direct to like quote unquote video sequels.
Yeah, I would say this film, along with Simba's Pride and also Return to Neverland, are definitely the top three direct-to-video
That's
ones.
actually another good one. Yes, I actually forgot about Return to Neverland. I'm glad with that they did that as a theatrical release.
Yeah.
Um,
Because there are always constraints there's always more constraints if it's only direct-to-video.
that is true, and I feel like a lot of people get it very limited. At the time when it was just released, I think for how popular even Lion King 2, Simba's Pride was, I think honestly, if they did that as a theatrical release, I think it would have done even much better than just going straight to video.
Mm.
Because even the soundtrack for Lion King 2 was like a conjoint banger to the original soundtrack. I mean, nothing can beat the original Lion King soundtrack, with Elton John and Tim Rice but I have to say Pride Rock, it's still a very solid soundtrack.
Mm.
Now would there be like an extended soundtrack to Cinderella 3, A Twist in Time for
Oh,
you?
absolutely. Alan Menken would actually be brought in to compose this, alongside lyrics from, Glenn Slater, who wrote Tangled.
Okay.
And also alongside Phil Collins for the first time since Brother Bear in 2003.
Oh, that would be interesting. That would be a really cool collaboration. Did you now I know you are a music buff, like you do know a lot of musical background when it comes to like orchestra and stuff like that. Is there any kind of like songs like that you came up with yourself that would have fit this story plot?
Yeah, there are actually two songs near the end that I put or sort of. One is a song called Anastasia's Lament, which is sung by Cinderella when, spoiler alert, Anastasia in her guilt almost leaves the kingdom.
Oh, okay.
And the second one is a song called True Love at Last, which is like an extended rendition of A Dream Is a Wish Your Heart Makes.
Interesting. Now, have you ever like written lyrics for these?
Yeah, I thought, yeah. Well, yeah, I actually did, but also what one of my friends and who's based in North Carolina did actually help me as well.
Oh, okay. Interesting. Yeah, so as I said, folks, like Matthew like really took the time to like go through the ins and outs of, adding extra scenes, adding extra meat and potatoes to the main plot, and then also going into music and song for this. And I think honestly, if they would have treated this movie, I think a little bit more of a higher end priority, I think this would have been an even bigger success. Because again, a lot of people don't talk about it anymore, and a lot of people probably don't even know it exists, sadly. I do love how Disney did make a live stage production of kind of a Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time. They did
But
it.
the one key element for me that I dislike about it is that it leaves out Anastasia's redemption.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. And they did the live stage show on the Disney Magic cruise ship, which is actually still playing. I just recently got to see the show again this past summer. And it was yes, like a Cinderella I forget. I don't even know if I think they might have called it A Twist in Time. But it is kind of, it's not exactly what is in the movie, but it's a different rendition of this movie. And I think that was very bold of Disney to kind of make like a Broadway style production off of a second sequel to an
Mm,
original. Like, I don't really think Disney would have done that today, because this is a little bit of an older style production on the original Disney cruise ship, the
mm.
Disney Magic. So I do appreciate that from Disney, but I can definitely see your point, Matthew, of adding again. I always use this term like meat and potatoes in that
Mm.
boiling pot of water. There's always room for improvement, and I think honestly, with all the finer details that you put into this, I think honestly, um, I think this would have been a very successful movie had they would have gone that route.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
I would actually like to drop. I can't give the whole plot away, to avoid spoiling it too much. But one major thing that Lady Tremaine does actually mention during the climax is that she's actually known about Fairy Godmother's intervention the whole time.
Oh, that's interesting.
Like it showcases a dangerous level of intelligence that Tremaine has. Like during the first movie when Cinderella was caught singing "So This Is Love," and it dawned on Lady Tremaine that she was the mysterious princess who danced with the prince.
Yes.
Well, it dawns on her this time that magic was involved.
Okay. Yeah, I think if memory serves me correctly, like they did showcase that a little bit in the live stage show on the Disney cruise, but probably not in the same format that you had created. But I
Yeah,
do love how it's like where she kind of uses, yeah, Lady Tremaine uses her own, individual intelligence to kind of like read the room, so to speak. It's like, okay, this is impossible. How could this happen? There has to be an act of magic. So it wasn't far fetched from her character to believe in magic.
no, it
And
absolutely wasn't.
that's how she ended up, utilizing it, for the greater bad instead of the greater good. So yeah, that's a very interesting take on that.
And
Uh,
that does basically mean that Anastasia, when she ended up taking the one on, I do think she was faced with a bit of a false choice. Because let's just say, for a minute, that Anastasia just pretended to turn a blind eye to the magic being used in the distance and on during Cinderella's wedding anniversary.
mhm.
I'm sure Lady Tremaine would have eventually just gone after the wand under her own steam.
Okay. Now, you had mentioned it several times during this conversation, about like Anastasia's redemption and everything. What do you think made it to be that if there was going to be a redemption to one of the stepsisters, it led more towards Anastasia instead of Drizella?
I really believe that I don't think Anastasia is quite as susceptible to Lady Tremaine's manipulation as Drizella. And unlike Anastasia, her goals are less clear.
Okay. All right. Yeah, I always like wondered that, like, because even like in the sequels, you can kind of see, that little glimmer of hope from Anastasia,
Mm.
that you never really did get from Drizella, and that does make sense. That yeah, there was nothing really like too clear from, any goals or aspects of Drizella, but there was a little bit more meat on those bones with Anastasia, that she could have the potential character arc to have a redemption. But in any case, Matthew, thank you so much for joining me today. Again, everyone, definitely uh, check out Matthew's full uh, interpretation and rendition of Cinderella 3: A Twist in Time. It's on the
Fandom
Disney
website.
fandom wiki page. What I'll do is I'll put the link down in the description. So for everyone that is watching the video, you can click on the link, and then you guys can go on for yourself and read through all of Matthew's ideas and creations for the second sequel to the classic Disney Cinderella story. But Matthew, thank you so much
Thank you.
for joining today. And if you want to let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
You can find me on Instagram under the name Matthew Thomas Muir, all one word, and also on Blue Sky at MattMuir24.
Awesome. All right. Well, again, everyone, please comment down below your thoughts, opinions, ideas to everything that we discussed today. All that we ask is please be respectful and civil. And again, I'm going to put in the link in the description below so you guys can go and read that on your good time. And in any case, I'm George, the Disney Italiano. And as I always say, in Disney Italiano fashion, stay safe, stay healthy, stay Disney. Italiano